Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
He's laughing his sick fucking ass off. He's a tight ass. He's a sadist.
Okay, when I introduce you, I'm gonna say, this is a friend of mine. That means you're a connected guy. Now, if I said instead, this is a friend of ours, that would mean you were a made guy. I capiche?
Boys, we're back in business.
Our true enemy has not yet shown his face.
Brother, you are going down.
Hooah!
This is my house. In front of my wife, my kids.
I did not give you up to anyone.
What business do we have? You didn't mention my name. You haven't talked to anybody about me.
What am I gonna mention
Why
your
Brown
name?
and Williamson? No, I spoke.
How the hell do I know about Brown?
It happened just after I talked to you.
I don't know. What do
I
you
do not
know?
like coincidence.
Well, I don't like paranoid accusations. Think. Use your head. How do I operate as a journalist? By screwing the people who could provide me with information before they provided me with it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another installment of my Al Pacino review series. This is episode 15 of the second season, and I should add this is the penultimate episode for this season, as after next week's episode will be a season wrap, and it will then give me I will go on a little bit of a hiatus, a little bit, just a month or so, take a break, take a little breather before I return with season 3 where we go into the 2000s, and well, pretty much getting close to recent days, and we're almost sort of caught up with Pacino's career. Anyway, for this episode, we'll be taking a look at the second and to date final collaboration between Michael Mann and Al Pacino in 1999's The Insider. Yes, The Insider, 1999. Also starring Russell Crowe, Christopher Plummer, Diane Venora, Phillip Baker Hall, Debi Mazar, Tobolowsky, hope I pronounced that correctly, Bruce McGill, Gina, Gershon, and Sir Michael Gambon, the late Sir Michael Gambon, among others. Now I gotta be honest, and I did mention this on the ending of my last review, which was for The Devil's Advocate. I mentioned at the ending of the previous episode. Now this film is not one of my most watched Pacino film. I've only seen it 3 times, now it's 4 times because I just literally got done watching it for this review. Yeah, going into this, I had no idea how I was gonna feel about it, because I didn't really remember too much about it, other than that Pacino, was terrific, and Russell Crowe is terrific, and of course it's Michael Mann, so the filmmaking, everything is nothing short of superb and stuff, but I didn't really know what to expect again. It was almost like watching it for the first time again for this review, because this is not one I rewatch often, someone I go back to often. So yeah, I had no idea how I would ultimately feel about this. And at 2 hours and 45 minutes, this movie is a long one, and I have to say it's a little bit too long maybe for me. The pacing could have been better. It's definitely what people refer to as a slow burn, that's for sure. But I'm happy to report that that upon this recent viewing, I did actually ended up getting a lot out of it this time, and did really enjoy watching it, and so I think this review will go more towards the positive side than it will towards the negative side, which, as I said in the previous episode, it could go either way, really. But I really got something out of it on this recent watch. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a top 10 Pacino film anytime soon. A strong honorable mention, I think, would be something it would receive, but I wouldn't get into the top 10. There's loads of Pacino films I would still take over it, but again, I got something out of it, and I did really come away from this recent viewing appreciating the film more than I did previously. There's no denying it's a well-made film with fantastic performances all across the board. However, personally, outside of now having watched it for this review and stuff, and talking about it, there's not too much in it for me to go back to, if that makes sense. It's not really a lot of rewatchability. It's not a big rewatchability factor to it. Again, and that's not taking anything away from just how wonderful this film is, how well it's made, the filmmaking behind, and all the performances across the board. Not taking anything away from any of those aspects. It's just as a film as a whole, you know, I can go back to something like Scarface, or even, you know, if I look at some of the posters here, I can go back to Die Hard, Double Impact, Death Rides a Horse, Rocky, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Those are all films, for example, just a couple examples because they're easy, and you can see right there a little bit the Cobra poster. Cobra's another one. Those are films that really have, you know, me going back to them a lot because I really enjoy and love them, and there's always, you know, something, you know, so cool about rewatching them again and stuff. This is not one of those films, but again, it is a wonderfully well made one. So I would say let's just go into the finer points and finer details, and let's go into my review for 1999's The Insider. Here we go. The plot of the movie goes as follows. This movie tells the true story of Jeffrey Weingarten, played by Russell Crowe, a former tobacco executive who decided to appear on 60 Minutes. As a matter of conscience, partly prodded by producer Lowell Berkman, played by Al Pacino, he revealed that the tobacco industry was not only aware that cigarettes are addictive and harmful, but deliberately worked on increasing that addictiveness. Unfortunately, both protagonists of the story learn the hard way that simply telling the truth is not enough, as they struggle against Big Tobacco's attempts to silence them, and CBS's own cowardly complicit preference of putting money as a higher priority over the truth. Al Pacino as Lowell Berkman gives a very nuanced and more subdued performance yet again, without doubt a stark contrast to his previous effort with director Michael Mann, that's for sure. Pacino apparently really relished in playing this part, as it was a nice change of pace from the usual cop and gangster roles that he's played quite a fair few times, and it does really show that he's all in on this one. Yes, this is definitely not one of his shouty performances, ladies and gentlemen, although there are a few occasions admittedly of that, but very sparse and definitely not unprovoked. Excellent performance by the legend yet again. Russell Crowe, an actor which I must admit I've only seen in a handful of movies, including this one. He's done a lot of movies I haven't seen yet, and my personal favorite of his will always be either Gladiator or Cinderella Man. In this movie, however, he also gives a absolute career best performance in my opinion, and completely transforms and disappears into the character of Jeffrey Weingarten. His performance is a gripping and haunting one as a man who's in the process of losing everything by speaking the truth and standing up for what he believes and thinks is right. Fantastic performance that is absolutely key to the movie. Kudos to Russell Crowe for sure on this one. Christopher Plummer, who is always a delight to watch on screen, for me gives yet another excellent performance in this, as well as 60 Minutes as Mike Wallace, as well as pretty much all of the supporting cast, to be fair, like Diane Venora, Phillip Baker Hall, Debi Mazar, Tobolowsky, Bruce McGill, Gina, Gershon, and especially the late great Sir Michael Gambon in particular, who really only has one scene in this film but manages to be an absolute standout for me. If there's one thing Michael Mann always knows how to get just perfect, it's filling the roles with excellently talented performers, that's for sure. Speaking of Michael Mann, the filmmaking is top class here, with Mann crafting and putting this story on screen superbly. The cinematography by Dante Spinotti, who also photographed Heat by the way, is excellent, and similar to Heat, the film does use plenty of the same sort of bluish color palette, color tones to certain shots and scenes as well. The movie, which as mentioned is based on a true story, does as many Hollywood productions fictionalize and dramatize certain events as can be expected, but overall it's a gripping story and shows us something that many might not think of about in similar cases of whistleblowers, which is what does a person in that sort of situation go through in those circumstances. Michael Mann, through Crowe's wonderful and moving performance, expertly puts you right there in that situation. However, and here comes my only and still biggest gripe that I have with the film, did we really need close to 2 hours and 40 minutes to get that point across? This is all subjective, of course, and it all depends on each individual audience member / viewer of the film, you'll ask, but for me, personally, I really don't mind long films. I really don't. However, pacing is a thing that can be hard to nail with certain long films, and I personally feel that this is one of them. If they had shaven about 15 to 20 minutes off this movie, I feel it would all move at a much better pace, and it would still make exactly the same impact and get all the same points across as it currently does. Again, it's all subjective, but this is how I feel about it, and it would be my only real critique towards the film. Wrapping up, despite the film feeling misspaced for me, it still has incredible direction, wonderful cinematography, and fantastic dialogue that all the talented actors involved deliver absolutely expertly. The movie upon release was praised by the critics and got 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe. But take a wild guess who they snubbed yet again. Yes, that's right. Pacino is once again snubbed by the anti-Al Pacino organization who call themselves the fucking Oscars. Move on. Anyway, other nominations included Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound. Box office wise, the film is considered a financial flop and a disappointment, with it only making about $60 million worldwide off of an estimated $90 million budget. Over the years, many people have come to remember the film very fondly though, and many consider it one of Mann's and Pacino's best films. Myself, I give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Definitely a worthwhile film to check out, but outside of the wonderful performances, doesn't really have much rewatchability for me sadly, but well worth checking out for fans of Mann, Pacino, Christopher Plummer, or any of the talented cast members involved really. Especially if you've seen and loved Heat, you will definitely enjoy this one as well. And that's that. So there you guys have it. That was my review for 1999's The Insider. Once again, yeah, not faulting, any of the actors or the filmmaking and stuff like that. I just feel if maybe they trimmed 15 or 20 minutes, it would have run at a better pace. It would have been better paced. It would be, that would have added to some of the, getting a rewatchability factor in it if it was just not so damn sort of long. I mean, it's nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes. Did we really need that amount of a runtime for this story? I mean, it's a gripping story and stuff, but not necessarily gripping for the whole 2 hours and, like I said, pretty much damn near 2 hours 40 minutes. Again, that's my only gripe with it. It's really the pacing. It is a gripe I had, many years ago with Heat, and that has grown on me. So who knows, if I do watch this film a couple of more times, I might, have this grow on me as well. You never know. But for now, that is still my criticism of the film. It's just a touch too long. Again, Pacino is fantastic, playing something different from the usual cop and gangsters, and he really loved doing that. Russell Crowe gives one of his career best performances. Like I said, I have not seen every single Russell Crowe film. I've not seen a whole lot of Russell Crowe films. I've seen a handful. I've seen American Gangster, I've seen Gladiator, Cinderella Man. Trying to think now. The Quick and the Dead, he was in that. Trying to think. I think I've seen a Robin Hood film that he did. Unhinged, that's a more recent one. I've seen that, but overall I've not seen all too many. Probably my favorites would still be Gladiator and Cinderella Man. And I do think as of right now this would be a top 5 performance of Russell Crowe. Maybe, like I said, he definitely deserved the Oscar nomination. Pacino deserved an Oscar nomination, but yeah, again, the Academy Awards Association of Discriminating Against Al Pacino didn't give Pacino a Oscar nomination. Once again, shockingly, we would have to wait another 20 years for him to get another Oscar nomination, because he got one in 2019 or in 2020 for 2019's The Irishman. So we still have a ways to go before he gets another fucking nomination. I hate the Academy and all they fucking stand for. They never recognize the talent that is Al Pacino. They gave him one to make up for their mistake and send a woman and never even bothered to fucking... Take a deep breath, Jeff. Take a deep breath. He has won one. He's been nominated. It's okay. Okay. Anyway, excuse my little rant there. We are now, like I said, this is the penultimate episode of the second season. I can't believe how fast this has gone already. Even though we've done more episodes this time around than we did in season 1. This season has definitely flew by. This season has absolutely flew by. Yeah, we've had some fantastic movies. I dare say the 90s is really, really rivaling Pacino's 70s period. I mean, the 70s and the 90s, I would say, are probably his best, decades for movies. I mean, the 80s, of course, were a rough one, even though my favorite movie of his is from the 80s, of course, 1983 Scarface. The 80s weren't kind on him. The 70s, he had some absolute bangers. In the 90s, he had some absolute bangers. And we are, unlike the first season, we are going to wrap up on a very, very high note, pretty much. As we are taking a look next week at 1999's Oliver Stone's sports drama, I should say, dealing with American football, and it is an all-star cast. And next week we'll be taking a look at Any Given Sunday. Yes, this will be the last episode of this season before, after a little break, we'll continue with season 3. So yeah, join me next week for Any Given Sunday. Look at that cast. Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, Jamie Foxx, James Woods, and LL Cool J. Fantastic cast, and Oliver Stone, fantastic director. This is, of course, the second time Pacino had involvement with anything to do with Oliver Stone, because, of course, Oliver Stone did write Scarface. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to rewatching this one. I'm looking forward to giving my thoughts on this one for you. And, yeah, I guess that's about it for this one. Join me next week for Any Given Sunday, where we'll be crawling with our fingernails for those inches. In Any Given Sunday next week. So keep punching, and we'll see you all next week. Hooah!
And he's only the key witness in the biggest public health reform issue, maybe the biggest, most expensive corporate malfeasance case in U.S. history. Jeffrey Wigand, who's out on a limb, does he go on television and tell the truth? Yes. Is it newsworthy? Yes. Are we gonna air it? Of course not. Why? Because he's not telling the truth? No. Because he is telling the truth. That's why we're not going to air it. And the more truth he tells, the worse it gets.